Today's show topic is, who's the baby's daddy? Did you know he was married?
Married?
Is he a dog?
I mean, she need to stay with him.
What a perspective.
That baby metrosexual. He got Beijing in the head, man. That ain't me.
You can't talk about a baby. At the service for the kid Raven, the 5-year-old that was shot. Also, we're praying for the 17-year-old who shot her, because really we may lose 2 kids.
I just hope she alive.
I grew up here, and it's just getting worse and worse every day with the drug dealing and the guns and everything else. They need to do something about it.
Yes, actually, I'm the CEO of Swag Nation. It's a youth advocate association.
I'm so sick of crying. I'm devastated because I lost my house. I'm sick of all this, boy. All I want to do is get away, get away.
So tell me, Alexa, what bothers you and irritates you in schools?
Well, sometimes a lot of girls think they're better than you, and when you're fussing with them, they'll consider you as white or a cracker. And I really hate being discriminated like that, because I know the color of my skin, and that should not matter to nobody.
People been calling me black. They be saying I blend into the dark, the pavement.
The young people wearing the pants down past the butt, showing the underwear. How do you feel about that?
Don't show what you don't have.
David Simon wrote a story based on Bodie's life.
Why? It's extremely entertaining. I enjoy myself.
Okay.
You know, and I'm the real guy, right?
We respect your life and your stories, and we know that you're going to be one of the greatest directors. What is life like being gay?
I was always secure with myself. Never had a problem with getting along with other people. Certain people that don't know me tend to get a little irritated when they see me come around.
It's a shame to say that some church leaders aren't the upstanding citizens that we believe that they are. If you could find a professional, a teacher, a counselor, if you need to talk to somebody before you talk to your parents.
Actually came out with the closet after Ellen came out.
Exactly.
Please don't think, that everybody that's gay wants you. It's never that serious.
Thank you.
One of the things that made me turn to God, recently my son was killed.
And I think there's a fear that exists between those generations that shouldn't be there. Like the gentleman said, just because I come in and I have locks, and I'm refined. Don't get me wrong. I drink wine and smoke the finest cigars. Like I never smoke a marijuana blunt in my life. But you would never be able to tell that if you never just took the time to just approach the cat.
I was building my own kingdom, right? And I met that crack cocaine, and in 7 years I lost everything. And I thank God for that, because those events allowed me to hit my proverbial rock bottom. And had I not hit that rock bottom with nowhere else to turn, I would have never met the one who could help me.
I disrespect my wife. I was committing adultery for the last 8 years. 6-pack, 42-inch chest, 18-inch arms, and 36 thighs.
Sound like me. Well, go ahead.
What this book offers is testimony and triumph.
And God has to bring you sometimes in a place of brokenness.
Yes.
Brokenness, so you can realize that God has a way of getting our attention.
I am bisexual.
Wow. Did Mom know this?
No, but she knows now. Hi, Mom.
Mom.
The state of Maryland has conspired with Constellation Energy and BG&E to rip off working people.
But despite what anybody say, I will always be there for him.
All right. That's a man.
I love him.
That's a man.
Is this man and woman relationship? You are not a man?
No.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
This is a mind blower.
I'm probably bisexual. I don't know.
Now you say you don't know. Do you date guys?
What? Yeah.
And do you date girls?
No. No, I haven't.
Well, so you're confused.
No, my parents want me to be a lesbian.
Your parents want you to be lesbian?
Yeah.
That's a new one. Why?
Yeah, I know. They're like, then you won't have children, so that's good.
Pigtown John Watch is a website where we put pictures of the vehicles and or the tag numbers of the vehicles that pick up the prostitutes.
Being the lowest man on a totem pole is just should be an expression to use to help you strive to move forward and higher in your life.
Hello, this is It's On Talk Show, and today's show topic is Crime Summit. As you all know, in Baltimore, there's a major problem with the crime issues. And families and children are dying, we're losing our people, and it's at the point of desperation. The government right now has lost, with the debt crisis, so many problems will come up and arise. We're in a crisis. So we're here today with a very special guest, one woman that really cares for the people of Maryland, the Honorable Senator Catherine Pugh. And I would like to say welcome to It's On Talk Show, Senator.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. And because today's topic, Crime Summit, we looked around and we couldn't find anyone else that cared so much about this great state other than the Honorable Catherine Pugh. And as you well noticed, it's just a one-on-one. I would love to have a crowd because there are so many people that do care, but so many people trust and believe in you because they know that you do care, and so you're here. And I thank you so much for being here.
Well, I'm really glad to be here because the topic is very timely when we look at what's going on, not just in the state of Maryland, specifically in the city of Baltimore, as we look at some of the issues, Baltimore being one of the 5th most murderous city in America, the 7th most violent, one of the just very difficult places for people to live in terms of some of its environmental issues. 47,000 boarded houses, 6th most dirtiest city in America, and Forbes magazine just named us one of the worst cities of our size to even do business. And
wow,
that speaks a lot to what is going on in our city and the image that is being projected about Baltimore.
You know, there's a story in Brazil. The sitting president, what he did, because it was a lot of poverty, he actually started giving money to the lower class, educated them. Well, guess what happened? Those people rose up because they had money, they had education. They gave, then they had hope. And I believe what's going on, people don't have hope.
Well, let me just say this. When I look at specifically in Baltimore City, you know, I think about the fact that we have 47,000 boarded houses, and then we've got this large percentage of our population, 49% of our residencies, not just probably 49% of our residencies are in fact renters. And that is almost a percentage, a balance that is completely off and is a threat to the foundation and the survival of our city. Because the average healthy city is 67 to 70% home ownership. So the question becomes, how do you create additional home ownership in your city? And I say that it's not about looking outside of the city and bringing additional people to the city. It really begins by investing in the people who live in your city first.
I believe that. That's it.
And there's a wonderful book called Comeback Cities where they do a comparative analysis of what happened to the Bronx and how it came back, and a number of other cities that talks about in that book. But one of my favorite ones is when Koch became mayor of New York, and he said to the people of New York, we cannot continue to do this top-down theory.
That's right.
You know, you got to go from the bottom up. And what he was really talking about is all the efforts that have been poured towards downtown, creating this vibrant area in the downtown part of the city. And it really is, and that to me, I thought he laid out a prescription for success.
Absolutely.
For almost any city.
That's right.
And I always tell people, good ideas don't grow on trees, and good ideas aren't just good by themselves. If it's a good idea, and if it's a great idea, somebody replicates it. And if you're smart, you look at it, examine it, and see how it fits in terms of your own city. How do you make the dreams and aspirations of a city that was so desperate that it's turned itself around? Never regaining all of the population that it had, but strengthening its tax base because it cleaned itself out and invested in the people who lived in the city. And so the city began to grow in terms of business opportunities, job creation. You know, that's the kind of city you want your city to become.
And you know, that's so important because when people feel as though they have hope, they have finances, they can do things. They can make things happen. And you know, if you look around some areas of Baltimore, you have Fells Point, Tables Out, because people are doing well. They're vibrant, and the crime element is not there.
Well, let me just say this to you that even in Fells Point, they will tell you that their issues, they have issues as well. You know, they have issues with crime like every other segment of the city. And let me just tell you why. It's very difficult to have a city that has as many problem areas such as we do, you know, with 40-some-odd thousand boarded houses and with so many vacants. You know, people don't need to talk about the vacants. And so when you've got a combination of the vacants, the boarded houses, the dirtiest city in America,
which is shameful,
which means a lack of trash cans. I mean, simple solutions to some of those problems. There really are simple solutions. But the fact of the matter is that if you got it in one part of town, eventually, if you don't begin to resolve the problem, it spreads to other parts of town. I always tell people you cannot just feed one segment of the community and think that you don't feed the other, and people who become hungry will feed on you.
That's it. You look in some parts of the city, and it looks like a third world country.
No, I call it Beirut, yes.
It's sad. You say Beirut.
Yeah, when you go down Monroe Street, come up Fulton Street, and then there's other parts of the city you can do almost the same kind of thing. You wonder, where are you? And, you know, everybody doesn't get to experience that. And then when you look at shows like The Wire and The Corner, their depiction of what our city is, you know, does the city a disservice.
Because some people believe with the movie The Wire, that's all of Baltimore, and that's not all of Baltimore.
It's not all of Baltimore, but it is a part of Baltimore. But it's a part of Baltimore that does not have to stick. It's a part of Baltimore that we don't have to own, because we can change that. We can turn that around. You know, and that really means someone who is committed to pushing the city forward, not maintaining it, not making excuses as to why you can't do certain things. When people start saying you can't, then you have to look at them twice, because that means that that's a person that lacks vision. That's a person who lacks creativity. That's a person who just is in the maintenance mode as opposed to the push forward mode. That's not the kind of city that we want this city to be. Greatness requires you to take a chance. Greatness requires you to step out on faith. Greatness requires you to do your homework, to do the analysis, to understand what works in other cities, and to push your city forward means that you got to step out on the line.
That's right.
You got to go against the grain. You can't listen to the soothsayers who say it can't be done. You have to listen to your wisdom, your instincts, and your ability to analyze situations and make them become reality, and to do the research. Understand your history. Know what works and what does not work. You know, I think Ed Rendell wrote a wonderful book called A Prayer for My City, talking about Philadelphia and the need to address the issues of abandoned homes, homelessness, poor people, and he put together a prescription for success, and it works. And there's several examples of that in our history.
Wow.
And so, you know, we have a tendency to think that we always got to come up with these new ideas.
Right.
And new ideas don't necessarily mean great ideas.
That's true.
And sometimes great ideas don't need to be lost, but they need to be resurrected. And we have a tendency, whenever we become the head of something, that we've got to throw out the baby with the bathwater, as opposed to saying, you know what, that program was a great program. Trash Ball was a great program.
It was,
because
that's
what
right.
It got people in the mode of understanding that trash on our streets, trash in our neighborhoods, means your city's dirty.
That's right.
But all of us have a responsibility to clean it up. And that's what his little commercials were all about, cleaning up our city, changing the way you think about trash and grime in your communities.
And you know, I think about trash. Trash promotes crime and grime. So we need to clean it up, rethink it. You know, here in Baltimore, they began a one day a week pickup for trash. Well, I believe, because I have experience, I'm a licensed pest control operator. The rat population has grown in great numbers. They are now invading homes where people are living, because what happens is that the trash is put out. So the rats feel as though they have free course to even eat the trash, and if there's none left, after it's picked up that one day, well, what they'll do then is go inside of people's homes, because they can eat through cement and wood.
Well,
so that hurts.
Yeah, but the other side of that is that we have to take some responsibility.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know cities all around the country who have one-day trash pickups. I mean, we have Philadelphia's one-day trash pickup. But, for example, and I'm not saying that we should have one or two, but we currently actually have two if we were recycling.
Well, for recycling, yeah.
But, you know, it's about the culture of your actions.
True, very true.
And I've seen people do this. You set the trash out the day before the trash pickup, or you sit it out 2 days before trash pickup. That breeds filth.
Absolutely, it does.
You know,
It
that
does.
breeds
And
rot.
that promotes crime.
Well, filth and dirt promote crime. Boarded houses promote crime.
Yes.
Littered streets, because it gives the impression that you don't care.
Absolutely, that's
And
very
when you don't
important.
care, then people don't care about you. They don't care about your community. They don't care about your neighborhood. They don't care about your actions. And so they begin to be reactive as opposed to supportive. And so it is about changing the culture and the attitude of people, and that really takes, focusing in on how do you fix a community, how do you make it better, how do you improve the lives of the people who live in it, and what are you doing to save neighborhoods, and how do you do that in a creative, smart way that impacts people in a very positive way.
When I hear you saying, speaking, and one thing comes to my mind is education. When children are educated, cared for, in a safe environment, and they can learn, you can train them to be the greatest people on earth. If you care. And son, this is why you're here today, because you care so much about the people in Baltimore. And I don't have the book before me, but you wrote an incredible children's book. And what's the character's name?
It's called Healthy Holly.
Healthy Holly. And Healthy Holly is with mom and dad. It's family life. They're eating right. They're exercising. When I read that book, I was so thrilled, because here you are, a woman of your status, doing all the things that you do. Took time out to write a book about little Helen, to inspire children to love their parents, live in a clean environment, eat right, exercise. Why did you do that?
Well, because I was at a conference about 3 years ago, and we were talking about childhood obesity and how it was going to escalate in the next decade, because nobody was paying any particular attention to what we do about curbing childhood obesity. Childhood obesity leads to adult obesity.
Absolutely.
Leads to high blood pressure, leads to diabetes, leads to death.
Absolutely.
And so what I was trying to do was look at it from a childhood perspective and in the children's way, and try to figure out how do we curb this attitude that's permeating our communities and our society. So I wrote something at this conference, and we're having this discussion about children's health, and I kept asking the question, well, what are we doing about it? And this was with the U.S. Secretary for Health, and I said, because there's some things we need to do in the schools, and there's some things we need to do in the family. And he said, well, that's not my concern. My concern is the department, and then somebody else over here in education ought to be concerned about that. And then I thought, I was so bored. I said, oh my God, we're compartmentalizing how we believe things ought to be. And so the next thing I knew, I was doodling and scribbling, and I had written my first children's book, Healthy Holly.
Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Exercise is fun.
And you know
Healthy
what?
Holly exercise
Well,
is fun.
believe it or not, I just joined the health club myself.
Yay! Woo, for Johnny,
So,
yes.
Yes. So it's so important, because when you're healthy, you're thinking
makes
good.
it makes all the
I'm eating
difference.
right now. I even
Good.
grew a garden in my backyard.
Oh, yay!
So
that's why we want to clean up our neighborhoods, because we don't want
that's
rats
right.
in
We
the
don't want to
garden.
have rats. That's right. Another thing that interests me, the young men. The young men, during the Martin O'Malley administration, thousands of black males were locked up, which distorted their records. They can't get jobs. And of course, if they have a family, they want to provide for themselves, they can't get a job. So therefore, it forces them to do criminal acts. How can we change this action?
Well, my mother used to say we're always in control of us. And I know different people operate at different levels in their lifetime, and that's why as a leader of a city, you got to be empathetic for all of the people, because you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know the pain that they're suffering. You don't know what their home life might be like. And as I was saying on yesterday, I was talking about the fact that we have so many young people in our city, so many young people who are homeless, so many young people who are born of drug-addicted parents, so many young people who are in fact just struggling and supporting families, and they need to earn money.
Right.
So what do you do for them? And I say you create year-round programs for them. Some children need to work, so distributed education allows children to go to school a half a day and work a half a day. And instead of chastising children standing on the corner selling water, why not create a best corner, best waters corner program, where you
Oh,
award
that's
the
awesome.
child who knows how to dress for success on the corner, because what you are at that point is you're an entrepreneur.
That,
You're a
absolutely,
street
that's right.
entrepreneur, but you're an entrepreneur nevertheless. So you want to make sure that you're supporting these young people and moving them in the direction that they are to, and give them a chance to be successful. And those are the kinds of things that I'm just so squarely focused on. And so when I had the opportunity to write my book, Healthy Holly,
Mhm.
I was just surprised at how eager, one, children were to access them, two, how well received they've been
Yeah,
in
'cause
the
I enjoy
community.
reading
So
it.
it's just been very, very exciting.
Yeah,
very
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. And I mean, I really salute you for that because, you know, what really amazed me is that as busy as you are, as a senator, you took out time. That says you care. I mean, you know, and I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate who you are. I really do because, and people that I've talked to about you really have a great deal of respect for you because you really care. You're approachable. You know, you not. I extended my hand for a shake. You gave me a hug. I thank you.
That's Catherine Pugh.
All right, that's great. You know, there was an incident that happened maybe a couple years ago. A colleague of yours, Nathaniel Oates, his nephew was murdered. And, you know, in Baltimore, there have been so many murders. Mothers are coming to me, calling me, crying, says, please help. You know, my child has died. He was murdered. He was shot down. Young mothers are also concerned about their daughters. There are so many bad relationships because of the stresses, because of the economy, that relationships, guys are killing their ladies, their wives. And it's sad. What can we do? What is your vision to help in stopping the murders?
Well, let me just say this. It's very difficult when you talk about a society that's permeated with criminal behavior, but you can turn things around. And part of the problem, especially when you have tough economic times, is that you got to make sure that you're creating the jobs in your communities that are necessary, because people want to go to work.
That's right.
People want to support families. Nobody wants to be poor.
That's right.
Everybody wants to work, and people need income. And I always say to folks that when you look at a city like Baltimore, where you have a minority population that's nearly 70%, and the wealth in that community is about 7% of your economy, that is a prescription for failure.
Absolutely, that's right.
You're asking for crime to permeate your community. You're asking for drug addiction. You're asking for these kinds of things that you don't have to have if you were, in fact, to equalize the economy of your city. You've got to be more responsible in terms of how you spread wealth in your communities and create sound communities, sound individuals, people who are able to go to work every day and provide for their families.
Right.
When people can't provide for their families, then they become desperate. And we don't want a desperate community, and that's what you see happening. And then you have these young people who don't understand that it is, you know, it is beyond your community. It's not where you start, it's how you end up. You know, because you're born in a certain income bracket, because you are experiencing certain negativity in your life, doesn't mean that that's where you have to end up. And that's why I say it becomes so important to create year-round programs. Let's reach out to our colleges and universities and get mentors coming into our rec centers, mentors coming into our community centers, mentors coming into our schools for our young people, so they can understand that they can get up and they can get out.
That's right.
So many folks don't think that they can do anything beyond the 4 square block radius in which they live. So they don't have hope. You know, they don't have desire and they don't have will. So when somebody's driving down the street and in a car that they've never had the experience of riding down the street in, when somebody's walking around them with gold chains around their neck and look like they got a wad of money, and maybe more, you know, maybe a wad of $1, they don't know what that experience is like. So they begin to gravitate towards that.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying you got to create within your communities, your community centers. And I'm calling them community centers, but most folks call them rec centers, because I believe that it's a community. It's going to take the community to enhance the development and the experiences of our young people. So the community, the colleges and universities have to have a relationship with the community centers so that these young people who don't have it at home can get it there. Mentorship. You know, these colleges and universities can assist us in grooming our young people. So I want to bring the faith-based community. I want to bring all the powers to be to bear on making our city better, undergirding our youth, supporting our families. You know, let's get rid of the crime. But it takes all of us understanding that we have a crime problem. You know, I remember a pastor preached a sermon, you got to face it to fix it.
That's right.
In order
That's
to
the
fix
truth.
Baltimore, we've got to face the fact that we've got problems. We can't continue to sweep them under the rug. We can't paint over them with rose-colored glasses. We can't pretend that we don't have an issue, because the longer we pretend, the longer it takes us to get to really solving the problem and real solutions to the problem.
Yeah, because it's you know, and so many people want to help. They so committed, but what they need and what they're looking for is leadership. And I hate to say, but the leadership we've had in Baltimore over the last several years have not really catered to the inner city people with issues. They overpassed them because all the money went to the great downtown, the great east side, which is nice. But you know, if there was some type of balance where uptown would receive millions and they would receive millions, but everybody would be doing good, there would be jobs, opportunities.
Well, let me just say this. I don't begrudge downtown development because I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I begrudge the fact that we've not balanced what we do
Balance
downtown
is the key word.
with what we do uptown.
Right.
You know, I begrudge the fact that we have a housing community development agency or housing department that neglects the needs of the people in the city. I'm appalled at the fact that we think that we can just do this kind of development and not enhance neighborhoods at the level that they ought to be enhanced at. I don't like what I see the city building in terms of home ownership. I call them matchbox houses. You know, I like Ashburton.
Yeah.
I like Guilford. I like Homeland.
That's right.
And I don't understand why we think when we've lost 1/3 of our population that we can't begin to build housing where people can have garages, can come out in front, have yards in front and back, have neighborhoods spread out a little bit more. When you've lost 1/3 of your population,
you have plenty of space.
Yeah, why would that not be the thought?
That's
How do
true.
we reconfigure Baltimore to make sense for all the people who live here? It's amazing to me that we now, you know, we want to rebuild every single row house. We want to rebuild the row house. We want to chop down some neighborhoods, and then we put back up the same thing. I'm like, what is that? Where's the creativity in that? Where's the vision in that? You know, I remember being on the city council and I was in the second page of Heritage Crossing, and I asked, developer came to show me what they were building, and he showed me the houses, and I looked at it, I was like, what? My first reaction was, where are the garages? And the guy said, well, this is urban. I said, well, what does that mean? This is a city. You don't need garages. So are you kidding me? What makes you think, because I live in a certain part of the city, that I don't want a 2-car garage and a house to walk around? What makes you think that I don't? What makes you think that I would be satisfied living in a townhouse? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. And, you know, or condos, not that there's anything wrong with that. But what I'm talking about is a city that's lost 1/3 of its population and has an opportunity to look at how do you reconfigure this city so that it makes sense. You know, with the land availability that we currently have, with the number of Board of Houses that we have, and what I'm concerned about is the fact that if those houses, those Board of Houses, were sitting in downtown Baltimore, we claim eminent domain and we take them.
That's right.
We take them. Because that's irresponsibility in our community that we've allowed to breed here too long.
And it breeds crime.
That's
what we want to clean up. We want this crime summit to be real. And you know, sometimes it's really simple and practical things that you can do to change anything. Changing the environment, the colors.
Yes.
You follow me? The landscape.
Yes.
So creativity plays a major role because it's not about locking up people, because that's not going to solve the problem.
No.
And the ball, you know, I had
you can't arrest your way out of the problem.
Let me just say one thing here. I did a show with Sergeant Lou Hobson, and you know he told me, he said in the training that's presently in the Baltimore City Police Department, this is said, it's us against them. So until we change that mindset in Baltimore City Police Department, and if they just look at a black man and say he's a great gentleman, and deserves great living, and all citizens of the state of Maryland does.
Well, let me just say, there's a wonderful guy over in, I think his name is Sonny, over in northeast Baltimore. He is a activist. He's an engineer by trade, and Sonny decided to write a prescription for changing the attitudes of police to people and people towards police. And it's called The Consequences of Your Actions, because for every action there's a reaction. And what he teaches through his interaction with the police department and interaction with the community, that you can't just make assumptions about people.
Absolutely.
First of all, if I'm wearing dreadlocks, that doesn't mean I'm a criminal or that I'm going to be sitting on the corner smoking pot. Doesn't mean that at all.
That's right. That's right.
It's my natural hair. It's how I want to look. You know, that's what that's about. And you know, when a police officer is trying to address someone in the community, it's how you approach people. You know, did you approach them in a friendly way, or did you walk up and say, you know, you're under arrest, or I need you to get off my sidewalk? What are you talking about?
Sit on the ground.
You know, and that is just
it's demoralizing.
That's so demoralizing. It's
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I mean, it's blatant disrespect.
Yes,
to people.
yes.
But you know, we've got to focus on these things and how do we deal with them. And so, you know, as I continue to look forward to real solutions to the problems that the city faces, you know, I look at these issues, I consider these issues, and I research them and try to come up with real solutions to our problems. We've got a lot going on in our city.
Yes, we do.
But we've got a lot that we can do, and we've got a lot to work with. But it's going to take tenacity, courage, and leadership to move the city forward.
And you know, I'm an ex-Marine as well. And one thing that I learned very well is this one phrase: use what you got. If you use what you have and you repair it and fix it, it can then become a great resource to help you and so that you can move forward with any problem or situation that you have. And my point is, it is a mess, but it can be fixed.
Oh, there's no question. You're talking about a city that happens to sit, has one of the best ports in the country.
That's right.
You're talking about a city that's located between Washington, D.C. and New York, on the harbor, has great access for businesses and business opportunities, but we've got a tax structure in our city that is offensive not only to the residents but also to the business community.
Yes.
You know, you got plants leaving Baltimore. The last Fortune 500 company is also about to leave Baltimore. I mean, we're in a crisis. That's why I call us. And people don't. You know, I want people to understand the urgency that I'm talking about. We are at a state of emergency in terms of moving this city forward.
Yes.
If we don't have right leadership, we end up going backwards instead of forward. We want to go forward.
That's right.
And that forward movement takes place with all of us understanding that we have a role and responsibility in this city, and that together we can do it, together we can change it, and together we can move it forward.
All right. And you know, I believe, because, you know, we are also in a very strong spiritual city. And I believe God wants to bless this city. It's just I believe this one thing: He has to move out the mess so He can then bless. Because I hear so many people want so many great changes, and they're willing to step up to the plate. Again, they just need someone to say, "I'm with you. I'm partnering with you. I want to be there with you. I want this crime element to stop. I want to be able to walk down the street and be safe at night. I want to be able to walk my door and walk my little doggy, and no harm will come to me. My children won't be offended." That's what they want.
That's absolutely what they want, and that takes courage.
Yes, it does.
It takes courage, it takes tenacity, it takes energy, and it takes someone who's vibrant and committed.
You know, I was
about to change.
That's right. I was up in New York, maybe last month, up in Central Park. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Children were out there skateboarding. No problem.
Well, you know what? That is one of the questions you ask yourself if you're in a safe city. Do you feel safe walking to the park? Can you walk to the store? Are you afraid in your neighborhood? You know, if the answer to those questions is yes, I am afraid in my neighborhood. No, I can't walk to the park at night. No, I don't walk to the grocery store. That's a prescription for a failed city. That's a city that needs help. That's a city on life support, and that's what we're on here.
And so this city just needs healing.
Healing and help and vision and leadership.
Yes. And I know certainly that you, with all of your work, that's what you've done thus far. You know, I'm not saying what you're going to do in the future, because I can only imagine greater things are to happen with you and through you. So, but because of your past record, I can only expect some awesome things. And you know, I'm so glad again that you are a people's person. You know, people can come up to you, share their ideas. You're willing to sit and listen, and make changes. Because sometimes, you know, I have a philosophy I live by. It's called the fish syndrome. I eat the meat and spit the bones out. So, and every, you know, all fishes are not good, but some of them had little good meats, some bad meats. But you spit the bad stuff out, you use what's good, and you move forward. Because, I mean, it can change. The crime element can change. Young people, I believe, they want just love and someone to acknowledge them. You know, that's even the show. I love to have young people on to demonstrate their vocals, whether it be rap, poetry, to let them know that they do matter. See, when people know that they matter and somebody cares about them, oh, gee, that
They'll go the
chest,
extra mile.
they will.
They'll go the extra
They
mile.
will.
I even say it about the children who walk down the streets with their pants below their behinds, and I'll say to them, pull your pants up. Pull your pants. If you don't respect you, at least respect me.
That's right.
And understand where that culture comes from. It's not pretty.
No.
You know, it's prison culture.
Absolutely.
Now, if you want people to think that you just came out of prison and you're still plagued with the culture that exists in there, where people wear their pants below their behinds, then go right ahead.
Right.
Because it doesn't earn you respect; it earns you disrespect.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you know, and again, with your vision, you've had for years. I've seen you with the marathon. What a wonderful job! And that thing now is gaining access of what, $28 million?
Yeah, when I started the Baltimore Marathon a decade ago, I started it for one purpose only, really. The city has a 38% adult illiteracy rate. I wanted to create a funding stream.
There
for
you go,
Baltimore
Karen again.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And so, but I'm a runner, and I knew the city didn't have a marathon. And at that time, Katie O'Malley, who was the governor's wife, was mayor's wife at that time, was planning on running a marathon in D.C. I turned to her and I said, the city needs its own marathon.
That's right.
And then I walk over to Martin, so I said, let's go walk over to Martin. I said, the city needs its own marathon. He says, go ahead. Well, 10 years, fast forward 10 years later, what started out with 6,000 people, $8 million impact on the city now, 22,000 people, over a $25 million impact on the city.
Wow.
To me, that's leadership, because
That's right. That's
that marathon cost the city zero. The Fish Out of Water project, the Big Fish All Around Town, which was my project.
Oh yeah, it was
and
awesome.
working with folks in downtown. What was an investment of $100,000 from Able Foundation turned out to be $1 million.
Wow,
That
awesome.
$1 million wired the classrooms and provided instruments for the children.
I remember.
That's the kind of creativity that a city needs. That's the kind of leadership a city needs. But you know what else that is? That's loving people.
There you go.
Know, when
That's
you love
important.
the city and you love the people in it, this is an easy job.
You know, I don't usually share this, but I've been doing this talk show for about 5 years. I actually work for Baltimore City Public School System as an exterminator. I don't have much money, but I use my money for the show because I love the people so much out there, and I try to bring the very best people on the show to let them know that they have hope, you know, to inspire them, to lift them up.
Yes.
You know, it's my sacrifice, but you know, I never ever regret for doing what I'm doing. Because, you know, it does matter. And it has made a difference in so many lives. And I know today that people have heard you and you're concerned for the people of this great state, this crime summit. Because we want to wipe out crime. We want to give people hope. We don't want to lock you up. We want to see you aspiring, doing great things. You know, having great jobs, great careers, being educated. Because Maryland has so much to offer. And also this great city of Baltimore.
Well, there's no doubt about that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it is about what we put into this. It's about the energy that we provide. It's about the people we surround ourselves. And it is also getting other folks to buy into your vision. You know, asking the faith community, asking the philanthropic community, asking the business community to join with you in a vision. You know, and I've been so fortunate to be able to vision what I think are good ideas and good opportunities for people, and not just to do them, but to bring them into fruition.
Yeah, you've done that. You've done that. See, you're
marathon, Fish Out of Water, Healthy Holly, exercising is fun. I mean, a brand new school for Baltimore.
Wait a minute, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the school.
Baltimore Design School will open up this fall at the Winston Middle School, and this is what I talk about when I say vision, how they can become greater if you surround yourself with smart, intelligent people. I wanted to do a fashion high school. By the time I put my great board around me, including Fred Lazarus, Micah, what was an idea for a fashion high school is now a fashion architect and design school.
Awesome,
And so
awesome.
we open up in the fall at the Winston Middle School, and in
Yeah.
another year we'll be breaking ground for a brand new school in Baltimore. And so I'm
Wait a
excited.
minute, hold, stop. Senator Pugh, it's just you building a new school. Open up a school right now, and next year you're going to build a new school.
But it's not just me.
Well, I mean, but your vision.
Right.
But my point is, what I want to say, that so many others could have done this years
Sure,
ago.
sure.
So you're standing up.
Yes.
You mean, and I know that young people love fashion. We're fashion buff. I love fashion. So that's going to create new fashion models. You're going to create a new generation of people.
Oh, in terms of...
You're going to inspire young people.
I'm looking forward to them getting awards for building the best buildings or designing the greatest buildings, for
Awesome.
becoming the winners of runway, just creating the next games, because this is fashion, architect, and design. Designing the next game, designing the next programs. I mean, all of these things will be a part of this new school, and so I'm just extremely excited. But again, it's about who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
If you're a visionary leader, you got to make sure you got people around you who understand who you are and why what you want is so important, and they're willing to buy into it and help you to move it to the next level.
And you made it happen.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Exciting.
Because, with your leadership as a senator, you can do so many more things. I'll say this, when people know that you're a doer, they start coming by the droves to support you. And I know that's what's going to happen. And I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about it. I'm also excited about Healthy Holly.
Yeah, and this is the book, guys. Look, Healthy Holly. I want you, if you can come in, zoom in. Look at these wonderful, let me show you little Holly. Wait a minute, where is she? There she is there. But there's little Holly with Mom. Okay, also, look at the great colors in the park there. Look at the duck, the swan is there. There's Mom again. But most important, guess who else is there? There's Dad. So here's a family.
There's Dad's here.
Yeah.
Exercising.
And they're exercising, eating well, they're living good in a decent home. That boarded up house now is a new home. You follow me? Again, she has a new bite here. Okay, and families out riding the bicycle, they're exercising. Okay, everybody's happy and positive. You follow me? Clean environment. This is going to inspire children.
Well, I'm excited
Healthy
about
Holly is awesome. But the book is great. But I look at the author, who took out time and creativity. You're awesome. I mean, I have so much respect for you, for your love of people, and you show this with your actions. See, it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to do it.
Yeah, it's just all about people. It's all about, when you've been given so many gifts and have been blessed as I've been blessed. I always tell people I don't have any really hard luck stories. I was mother and father all my life, all my childhood and all my adult life. And what my parents promised us was a high school diploma, and everything else was yours to get on your own. And so, I've been blessed, and so having been so blessed, it is only rightful for me to bless others with my talents, with my vision, with my leadership, with my courage, and with my ability to move the city forward. And I just look forward to working with people as we continue to work together to make Baltimore the greatest.
It's going to be a great city. I want to talk about something else. Just here in D.C., the debt ceiling was an issue. However, now because of the negotiation between the Democrats and Republicans, the debt ceiling deal was settled, and the government didn't shut down. So those are some crises that I'm concerned about, and there's going to be some fallout as a result of that, because there's going to be a lot of cuts. So as a state senator, how do you think that it will affect the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore?
Well, we certainly do have a number of government contracts here. Grumman, Northrop Grumman, and some other agencies and companies and corporations that have a dependency on some of those federal contracts will be impacted. We don't know what's going to happen with national health care as a result of some of the cuts and so forth. So all of it remains to be seen, but anytime there's a ripple in Washington, D.C., there's a wave at the local level. So it all remains to be seen, and we're hopeful. We're hopeful that we at least don't hurt the lives of people who depend on federal government so much for so long. So I'm hopeful, but yet I'm discouraged by the way this all came about when we knew that this was a crisis about to happen, how long people waddled at the table to keep this from getting done. And so it is unfortunate in many ways, but it certainly gives us a chance to pause for thought in terms of where do we go and how do we move forward. And then the other side of that is who's impacted and what do we do about those who are impacted. What services are we going to have to provide? What assistance are we going to have to provide at the local level? So all of the fallout remains to be seen at this stage of the game.
Yeah, okay. But I know certainly our great state will. One thing I do like about Maryland, we come together. And like Baltimore, we come together. When there's a crisis, we come together. And I've seen people be more united now than ever before. And this is across racial barriers, and the whole scale. People recognize one thing now, that we all need the same things. And we are living in the same neighborhoods.
Well, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We all want for the same thing. Food, clothing, shelter, love.
That's right.
We all want the same thing, the need to belong. And it's how we go about getting it that concerns all of us. And what we want to do is to make it in such a way that people can live productive lives and not fall victims of crime nor become criminals. And that's where leadership takes place. And how do we, undergird and support families and young people to make sure that their lives are productive and they're moving in the right direction.
All right. Because certainly we're gonna. I know the state. There will probably be some cuts in the states, and I ask all the state leaders to be on your P's and Q's, and let's look out for the citizens of the great state of Maryland, because people want to maintain their lifestyle. So please be mindful of that, because I definitely care about the citizens of the state of Maryland so very much, and I know you do too, because that's why you took that office. So we're going to ask you all to do your very best. Again, the crime summit, we want the crime element to stop, and I'm going to encourage young people right now to let you know that you have people who care about you. We don't want you to smoke weed, drink. We want you to go to school. We don't want you to bully other kids. We want you to be positive. Enjoy life. It's okay to be a kid. It's okay to have fun. But I want you to know there are people, myself, the great Senator Catherine Pugh, they really care about you. Can you just look into the camera here, Senator, and let the children know how much you care about them?
Well, let me just say to the parents out there, I say trust me with your children. Trust that I am believing in our young people in our city, and I want our young people to do better. And as we create the kind of programs that are going to wrap services and provide services for our parents, it's all about our children. It's all about providing them with the best future that they can have. And that's why we want to create year-round opportunities for them, distributed education, so those who need to work and go to school a half a day and work a half a day. We want to make sure that our centers are open for our young people year-round, that we don't open our pools in July and that we open them Memorial Day like we used to open them when we were growing up. Let's make our city better. And we can do that when we all work together, pull together, understand that we don't have to be a violent city, that we can be a better city. But it takes leadership. It takes vision. It takes all of us working together. So trust me to lead you in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, another issue that I'm concerned about, there's an assault and attack on our seniors. And again, because we're talking about, this is our crime summit conversation, because we want to acknowledge that, there is some problems. But we in the city, we're going to step up and help our seniors out. Some of the senior citizens housing in counties just provide housing for seniors only. And I think that there's a problem because they integrate other folks who just have mental illnesses and other illnesses that are younger, and they're making havoc on some of our seniors.
Well, there's a lot to be done in Baltimore as it relates to senior living communities and how we accommodate seniors. I always tell everybody, we are all, I don't care how young you are, we're all seniors in training. Prayerfully, we all get there at some point.
Well, I'm still 35,
yeah,
so okay.
But we all get there at some point. And so prayerfully, we understand that, I want seniors to be able to live productive lives in their communities. I want senior living communities where people can walk out of their doors, walk around their neighborhoods and feel safe, and that they don't have to climb up 18-story elevators in order to, go to a place to live. And I just think that we can do better when I look at what we're doing in our surrounding jurisdictions. Again, when you talk about a city that has the opportunity to spread itself out, why wouldn't you create communities where people can live and be accommodated in the fashion that they're most deserving?
That's right.
Especially our seniors.
Absolutely.
You know? And so I'm looking at those kinds of things happening for the city in the future. But again, visionary leadership, tenacity, fortitude, willingness, desire, all of that is a part of great leadership. You know, when you care about people, it's easy.
Absolutely,
It really is easy.
I agree, because I care, and it is easy, and you know, it's just one thing when they know you care about them, and you let them know, and you know, through this television show, people know that I care about them, and I know from their response when I see them out and about. I'm in markets, stores, banks, and they greet me so well and with great respect, and I show that same respect back. And I want to say I do love you all, and I respect you all, and I want all of us to do better and be better, because we can be better. And you know, right now, Senator, the young men, most of the crime is being committed by young men, unfortunately. And I want to say to the young men, I want to let you give opportunity to speak to them, brothers, please. When you look in the mirror, you look at something great. You were kings. You came from kings. You do not have to demoralize yourself almost as a slave to kill your brother. If you have a problem, an issue, you can discuss it. If you'd like to come on the show, the number is 443-846-6223. If you have a disagreement with your brother and you all want to come on the show and discuss it, so you won't have to shoot and kill him, because what happens is this. You go to jail, he dies, who wins? Nobody. Then in jail you work like a slave, or pay like a slave. So nobody really wins. So, you know, let's discuss issues. Let's talk. There's this thing called problem solving. You know, problem resolution. You know, you don't have to kill. That's not, you go to the extreme there. You don't have to do that. Most situations are really not that bad. You know, don't kill your brother, because then your family hurts. His family hurts. His family hurts, I'm sorry. So, you know, we can do better. You know, you don't have to do that. You know, don't hold back that little attitude, because it's an act. I know you got it from the rappers, but for real, when they get off stage rapping, they're going to do business, $1 million business, legit. You know, and you faking out what they're doing on stage, and they like, you crazy, man. I was just playing on stage, and you think it's real in their world. So my brothers, please don't kill one another. I need y'all. You know, when you kill your brothers, you kill a potential doctor, lawyer, engineer, automobile mechanic, a painter. You know, we need one another. Our Senator, what would you like to say to our young men?
Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. You know, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to yourself, and it's certainly disrespectful to the community. But I also want to say that I know we've got some young brothers out there who are doing some really great things. And that's why when I look at the young, I call them young entrepreneurs on our corners selling water, one of the things I'd love to see us create is a Best Corners program. Let's reward the folks who are on the corners, who know how to serve people, who are dressed really nice. And so those are the kinds of things I want to create, because those are really entrepreneurs.
Absolutely, that's right.
They're the business owners of the future.
That's right.
And so I want to invest in you. I want to make you even greater than what you are currently. There are so many young people in our community that are doing some good things, and some folks who just need some help. And that's why when we talk about community centers, I want community centers that provide mentorship for these young people so that they can reach their goals. I want folks to learn how to set goals, and once they achieve that goal, then to set another goal.
All right.
Because you can be great.
That's right.
And if nobody told you that they love you, then I want you to know that you are loved. If you don't understand that, then you have to love yourself, because once you learn how to love yourself, then it's so easy to love others. Then the thought of killing somebody or hurting somebody else wouldn't even enter your thought pattern.
That's right.
You know, because killing somebody and hurting somebody doesn't do anything for you, and it certainly will make your future not a bright one. So in the city, we want to make sure that we have the programs that are necessary and the education system that's necessary to meet all of the needs of the young people who are in our city. And I see that in our future, and I see that for the young people in our future. And so I applaud all of you who are out there that are doing some wonderful things. And my hope for you is that you continue to do good things and become great at them. There's a wonderful book called From Good to Great. What it really talks about is the need to not just settle for being good, but to become great. I know that there's greatness in all of us. We just have to, we sometimes just need to be undergirded and supported so that we can get to being great.
You know, the Bible has a great scripture that says, Stir up the gifts of God that are within you. It's already in them. They just have to stir it up. They have to be loved to say, and you are loved today. So if you didn't think nobody else loved you, you heard the great Senator Catherine Pugh said she loved you, and you know I love you. So guess what? You now can become whoever you wish to be. We have your back. Senator, we have a few minutes left, and I want you to inspire the state of Maryland, city of Baltimore, that the crime is acknowledged, we're working on it, and we're going to make it better. So you're going to have the last 2 minutes to give the speech of this great crime summit and how you're going to resolve things.
Well, I think the first thing we say is that we got to face it to fix it. And once we face it, we can fix it. That we have to restore trust in our police department. I mean, we've got thousands of police officers who serve us every day.
That's right.
And we do have some bad apples in the barrel.
And it's only the food.
Yeah, and we can correct that.
That's right.
And I want the community to begin to instill trust. But trust comes when people can trust you.
That's right.
And so that's going to be the police and the community working together. And I like to see the police, the community, the faith-based community, the business community working together to understand that we can solve our problems. When I look at what's happening in Southwest Baltimore, Citizens on Patrol Without Borders, which means that these are people who are willing to go in not just their communities, into other communities, and we want to expand that across the city. Citizens on Patrol Without Borders, taking back our neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that belong to us, the neighborhoods that invest in us. We can solve our crime problem, but it really is about understanding the problems that our children are facing, our communities are facing, and we can work together to get those problems solved. But it means also that we have to have faith in our own abilities to do better.
That's right.
You know, that we can, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart
That's
from
right.
it. We got to remember that Bible verse, and remember that, and work it and practice it every day. And if we do those kinds of things, we will see the greatness that our children and the potential that is in them and what they can become. And we also have to invest in our school system, grow our tax base.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about just adding people to the city. I'm talking about investing in the people who live in our city so that they can become productive members of our society.
Lift them
they
up.
can become homeowners.
That's right.
Because home ownership is the American dream. And so we want to make those things happen for the people who live in our city. And so we're going to be working every single day to improve our city, to make it great, and to make it better for the people who live in our city. So I'm grateful for this opportunity to be here with you, Johnny.
Thank you.
And I thank you for allowing me to share my views with you on your show. And it has just been great for me. And I hope that the people out there in Baltimore, in the state of Maryland, understand how much I love Baltimore, how much I love our city, how much I love the people in it. And that's why, to me, this job is just so easy.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Well, Senator, we love you too. And I have so much respect. But, before we go, recently there was one of your workers, while you were out, he felt sick, and the ambulance had to come pick him up. Well, they told me you got in the ambulance with your worker and went to the hospital with your worker.
Yes.
You stopped all your business, and you cared about somebody that's working for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that was very admirable of you, and I want to salute you for that. I really do, because that shows that you care. Because we have some folks that are as affluent as you are that wouldn't do that.
Well, he's also my brother and my friend. But I also want to take one moment as we close the show to say a spiritual goodbye to Dorothy Brunson. Dorothy Edward Brunson, who was the owner and founder of WEBB Radio, who passed away this past Sunday at 6:52 a.m. in the morning. She was a mentor, she was a friend, she was my sister, and she was just a guiding light. And I just want those out here who don't know her to know she was the first African-American woman to own a radio program. She was the first African-American woman to own a radio station, ended up owning 9 and several television stations. She was a giant, and she was a visionary before her own time, and she will be greatly missed. And I just want to say that before leaving the airwaves.
No problem. We thank you, and we salute her for her great work. And again, I want to just thank you all for tuning in. I love you all so much. And listen, on August the 23rd at 1:30 at 211 East Patapsco Avenue, we will be taping our first It's On Praise-a-thon show. And if you'd like to be a part of the studio audience, we're going to have great ministers there, ministering the word, giving a lot of hope. We're going to have Brother Mackey. He's a phenomenal person. But it's going to be a great time. And again, the address is 211 East Patapsco Avenue, or you can give us a call at 443 846-6223. It's on Praise-a-thon. I tell you, we just going higher and higher. We're doing some great things. And you know I love you all out there. And I will always bring the very best people for you here on It's On Talk Show. And again to Catherine Pugh, the great senator, thank you so much for coming on It's On Talk Show. It's on, y'all. Peace, and I'm out.